Welcome to the second edition of For Pete's Sake. I'm your host, Pete, joined alongside my deep-voiced co-host, Gibbs.
What's up, y'all?
And as always, we're joined by the man behind the glass, producer Trev. Trev, say hi.
Hi. There is no glass.
The man, the myth, the legend.
A few topics Gibbs and I will divulge into this week include the Women's World Cup, Steph Curry's new mini golf-based show called Holy Moly, as well as identifying who the real hero is at sporting events. But first, let's kick off the show with a little NBA free agency news, as this is speculation season. Or, in other words, we need nothing else, or we need something else to talk about besides just baseball, right?
Yeah, so it's that time of year again. It's the NBA free agency, and I think the NBA season is over, and in all reality, the free agency is even more intense in terms of like storylines, drama than the actual stuff going on in the NBA during the regular season. It's probably like my favorite thing about the NBA outside of like players talking smack on Twitter. Did you see that Enes Kanter and Julius Randle were going at it this week a little bit?
I did see that.
Love it.
What team is Enes Kanter on now?
He just got. Is he still in the Knicks?
I don't know.
Oh man, but I mean, in all reality, we don't really know where any of these guys are gonna end up during free agency. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot of drama, and I'm just here for the entertainment this summer.
Well, that's the thing. Through watching years of sports broadcasting shows, I've realized there really is nothing that fans enjoy more than a good prediction segment. It's like the free T-shirt can you see at a sporting event games. Like, the T-shirt's pointless, you don't actually need it, but you can't help and stand up for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Pete, I got a list of a couple names for you. I want to see where some of these guys are gonna end up, or at least like your 2 cents.
These are our non-educated predictions, just shooting in the dark here, like a Chris Broussard.
So obviously, like the first name on the block is Kevin Durant. There's been a lot of talk about if he's going to sign with the Warriors or even the Knicks. Where do you think he's going to end up?
Well, the latest report today was that he might want to play with Kawhi Leonard. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Like that just broke like right before we started recording.
Good. So I think that if you ask me, I think he will end up with the New York Knicks. I think he is already in New York. I think that's where he had his surgery.
Yeah. I have an inside scoop that he's actually bought property in the New York area.
Is that right?
Yeah, but I mean, you got to think that Brooklyn still might be on the table too.
Well, yeah, I want to play with Kyrie Irving. That would make sense. He doesn't want to make the same mistake LeBron made last year going to the Lakers by himself. Saw how that turned out for him. Missed the playoffs.
Yeah, so you think your final call is going to be the New York Knicks?
I'm going
for
Knicks.
KD?
I'm going Knicks.
We got to write these down and see if you go 100%.
Yes.
And the next name you already mentioned was Kyrie Irving. He's been called kind of a cancer in the locker room, and things obviously didn't work out with Boston. Where do you think he's going to end up?
I think the Nets. And it would make sense if he and Durant played together, but I think he wants to go to Brooklyn, and I don't think Durant necessarily wants to go there. I could see Durant possibly going to the Nets, but I think he's going to end up going to the Knicks. I think Kyrie is going to go to the Nets, and they kind of got that rivalry that's going on there. Also, Kyrie, I know, wants to play with Durant. I know they're good friends, but Durant's going to be out a year, at least.
Yeah.
You don't know how he's going to be when he comes back.
That's
also,
true.
I would not want Kyrie just by himself. I like Kyrie, but I would not want him just by himself leading a team.
No, you need someone else around him. He obviously in the past it's been proven that he can't be a leader at all. I got another big name for you. The former Pistons big man, Zaza Pachulia.
Ah, yes, the Georgian giant. For those of you who aren't as familiar with the big man, he was a key piece of the Golden State Warriors during their championship runs. He's most known for sticking his foot under Kawhi Leonard's ankle, which injured him and eliminated him from the series. That's an absolute championship play right there.
Taking one for the team.
Exactly. If that doesn't ring a bell, he was the big white guy that was out there at the 4 All-Stars, so that helps you there. For me, I see him returning to the Detroit Pistons in a 6-man role.
That's true. We need a backup center.
And it's a 7-footer who can give you a consistent 3.9 points and 2.4 rebounds a game. I think it's a big-time move for them.
Yeah, no, not to mention he's kind of the enforcer, having that big guy come off the bench and being able to get in some guys' heads a little bit.
Well, the next name we got up here is Kawhi Leonard. It's been linked to both the Lakers and the Clippers, as well as the Raptors, where he was last year. What are your thoughts about Kawhi?
I mean, I think Kawhi, he has to stay in the six and defend his title. And if he doesn't, I'm going to be a little livid about it. I don't think that any finals MVP has ever ditched their team after winning a ring. I know that he lives in the LA area and he loves it out there, and was meeting with the Lakers. He was even meeting with Magic. But I think the whole city of Toronto loves this guy, and he's kind of has a weird personality, and I think he would just get destroyed and scrutinized in any major market city. So I think it'd be best for him and best for his career if he ended up staying in Toronto.
I disagree, and here's why.
Ooh, getting
A little
feisty
Stephen A. Smith
over there.
I think he's going to the Lakers because I think LeBron runs the NBA. I think LeBron wants Kawhi in his team, and that's why I think he's going to go to the Lakers.
It's hard to say no to LeBron. I could totally see that happening.
I just think it's fixed. He's going there. Lock it in.
The NBA is scripted, so I wouldn't be that surprised.
Well, the next name we got up here is Jimmy, a.k.a. Buckets Butler. Where you see him going?
I want to hear your 2 cents on this one.
I mean, you don't know. So, he's plays for the Sixers last year.
Mm-hmm.
See if they offer him a max contract. I think he wants his money. So I think if they offer him a max contract, he'll stay. And I think they will. I think he's going to be a Philadelphia 76er next year. They gave up a lot to get him.
That's true.
I think it would be pointless to let him walk, as well as maybe Tobias Harris, when they gave up so much to get him.
I think you could see Butler ended up going to the Clippers too.
I disagree, and here's why.
We've been talking about the Knicks, the Nets, the Lakers, and I think the Clippers have a lot of cap space where they might not get one of like a Kyrie or like a KD, but they'll be able to get like one of kind of these second tier really great players in the NBA, like a Jimmy Butler. I got one more name for you too.
Give it to me.
Michael Carter-Williams.
Ah, yes. So good he has 3 names. If you don't know who this player is, you're not alone. I'm not even going to try to describe to you what he looks like or who he played for, because that ain't really going to help. Also, I have no idea. For me, though, he seems like an ideal fit on the Maine Red Claws. The team could really use an experienced point guard like himself. And
The who?
the Maine Red Claws. Well, more importantly,
Is that an NBA team?
that is a G League affiliate of the Boston Celtics.
Oh man.
Is that the best name?
Don't do my boy Michael like that.
I'm just telling you what the ideal fit is for him. They could use an experienced point guard. I could see it happening.
I can see him returning to Orlando.
Thanks, Trev.
All right. Write it out.
Well, that had me thinking, though, because the Red Claws, that seems like a really cool nickname. Then we had me thinking of what's a terrible nickname. I thought the New Orleans Pelicans. Is that the worst name you can think of for a team?
Are we talking all professional sports?
I'm talking all professional sports. What you got, Trev?
I mean, there's another NBA one. I don't think it's a terrible name, but it doesn't make sense based off where the team's located, and that's the Utah Jazz.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jazz makes 0 sense too.
It does.
I don't know. Just off the cuff here.
Off the top of his head.
Yeah.
Top of the dome.
There's no hockey teams that stand out as having like just awful names. There's no baseball teams that stand out as just like, why are you called this?
Yeah, that's true. Got to do my research for this one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just threw it out there.
I like it though. I got getting back to basketball for a second. There's one other free agent that's been in the news past couple hours, and that's possible future Piston and former MVP Derrick Rose. There's been some reports that the Pistons are heavily pursuing him. Pete, how does he fit our team?
Well, I think if you're talking about 2011 Pistons, I think this looks really good for us. Blake Griffin, Derrick Rose in their primes, before knee injuries for both of them, I believe. I think that's a good signing for him.
We should get Carlos Boozer too while we're at it.
Yeah, too bad we can't go back in a time machine.
2019 Derrick Rose. Well, if he's interested in the Pistons, that just shows you probably where he's at in his career, I would say.
We've also been tied to possibly having Rajon Rondo, some
Ooh.
interest in Rajon Rondo. He's coming off his 1-year deal with the Lakers,
Rajon.
as well as Terry Rozier.
Rosie.
The Celtics just signed Kemba, so that opens up. Terry's not going to want to be there anymore, so we could be possibly pursuing him.
The Roadster.
And then also Ish Smith too, just re-signing Ish. So there's a couple options. Definitely, I think I would want to see Derrick Rose on the Pistons, but how much is he actually going to be able to produce?
I'd go see him. That's probably all they care about, honestly.
Yeah, selling tickets. I mean, I'd buy a Derrick Rose jersey, no question.
I mean, they're still having problems selling seats at Little Caesars, like you said, and they're really just, at this point, it's clear the goal of the franchise is to try and pay off the stadium along with the Red Wings. So
yeah, I'll hang my Derrick Rose jersey right next to my Matt McQuaid Detroit Pistons jersey, too.
Well, moving along here, because we're talking about Pistons, we're going to do a little immemorial segment for past Pistons signings and free agency. Gibbs, you got the list there?
Yeah, we got, I'm starting it off with John Lore.
Johnny.
We just traded him this year. He was on a 4-year, $42 million contract, making about $11 million.
Forgot he was on the team.
To literally not play for us. He was injured, apparently, and just never lived up to any expectations that he had here. I mean, it was a Stan Van Gundy signing.
Stan the man.
God.
Looks like the guy on a logo for like a pizzeria. Does he not, Stan?
He reminds me of Ron Jeremy, who's actually can actually ball a little bit.
I would love to see that one-on-one matchup.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Doesn't even have to be in sport.
Oh, God. Well, moving on from there, I got another name for you, or another two names, I guess. You can group these guys together. Ben Gordon and Charlie Villanueva.
Gordo and Charlie V.
This was I think this was coming off the 2008 season where we had about $100 million in cap space, and we blew it on 2 6-men on their separate teams. We were paying Villanueva. We gave him a 5-year, $36 million deal, and we gave Gordon a 5-year, $60 million deal, and they just never lived up to any of the expectations that we had for him.
Trev, what's your best memory of Charlie V?
Well, I forget which exact year this was, but we were playing the Celtics one time, and this was after they had won their championship with their big three of KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. And coming onto the court, Charlie V is talking some smack to our boy Kevin Garnett, and Kevin Garnett simply returns the favor to Charlie V, calling him Cancer Boy. So, for those who don't know, Charlie V has never been diagnosed with cancer. He's just bald.
Yeah, he had no hair. He kind of looked like an alien, but...
Little Charlie Brown there.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett is definitely the best trash talker in the NBA.
I don't think that's even debatable. He has that pretty well sewn up.
Got another name for you. We were talking about him last week, and it's Josh Smith.
Jay Smitty.
We're still paying him this year. He's making $5.4 million to mess around and get injected in these big 3 games, but he just never did anything. He reminded me of the guy who plays pickup basketball and just jacks up threes every time he gets the ball. That's basically what he did for us. And then I got 2 more for you. One of them is former number 1 pick Kwame Brown. He's another signing we had coming out of the 2008 season.
I honestly forgot he was ever a Piston.
Yeah, no, it just didn't make sense. He never did anything, and then we gave him a $8 million deal, and he played 106 games for us from 2009 to 2011, and he averaged 3.8 points and 4.4 rebounds a game.
The Brownie man.
I'm not sure that one stuck.
I don't think any of them.
And who's your last guy here?
We got one more, and I'm not sure if it technically counts because it's not a free agent signing, but it's a trade. And 2 days after the 2008 season ended, we traded Chauncey Billups and Antonio Miggity Dice for AI, the answer.
The answer.
Allen
You
Iverson.
took mine.
And the end of Joe Dumars' career, basically, in this trade. And we had really good chemistry built around Chauncey, Mr. Big Shot, and this move just led to the demise of the Pistons. We haven't been relevant since, and AI ended up getting injured and only played 54 games for us.
You said McDice was in that too?
Yeah, Miggity Dice.
Oh, I was going to do that.
I want to say we got McDice back
man.
pretty quickly on from that trade.
Yeah, we gave him the journeyman, the 1 year deal.
We traded him to Denver, and they cut him immediately, and he was back within a week.
Well, moving on, Gibbs. Are we all good at the NBA? I believe so.
Yeah, that wraps it up. We'll keep you guys updated on any free agent news going on.
Something that everyone's been keeping an eye on here is the Women's World Cup. As many of you know, USA took down France yesterday 2-1. It's here for the US.
Yeah, sports.
I mean, that was arguably their biggest hurdle in the tournament. Obviously, they still got to close it out, but a lot of people were picking France.
So what? My bad, not to cut you off, but where are they at? Like in terms of how many games do they have left?
I believe they're in the semifinals.
Yeah, they're versus England.
Yeah.
Talk about a rivalry there. Dates back hundreds of years. So that's
during the 4th of July too.
It's a Revolutionary War reference for you there.
Can we call in the French for reinforcements in this game?
Because we beat them.
Yeah.
Well, in the game, Megan Rapinoe scored 2 goals. Is it pink hair? Is it purple hair? I'm colorblind. I have no idea what color hair it is, but you can always see which one she is out there. 2 goals for her. That's all we're going to talk about for Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, no, and that's talking soccer, I guess.
She's a talented soccer player. Very talented.
And then we got just another score update. In today's matchup, Germany ended up beating Sweden 2-1.
Oh, the Swedes.
Was it really worth doing that?
You can't see this in the studio, but he was signaling to Gibby to mention this for literally a minute.
I love the energy, though.
The Swedes won 2-1.
All right, we're going to be able to cut that out, right?
The Swedes.
That's staying in there.
It's from the Swedish chef from the Muppets. The Swedes. The Swedes won 2-1.
We only have 5 subscribers, and I think we just lost a couple there.
Sorry, Nathan.
Well, the other big topic that's been about during this Women's World Cup is the VAR. People have been paying attention to it. It's reviewing goals, right, Trev?
Yes, it's been very controversial wherever it's been introduced, and I don't think it was at the men's one last summer.
We weren't in it, so I didn't watch.
I don't remember either, but this is definitely the first women's tournament with it, and needless to say, it's done what it's always done and drawn controversy.
Well, what the VAR can signal or be reviewed, the plays that can be reviewed are offsides, which seems easy enough. I think that can be kept in there. You can just see where the person was before the play happened.
There definitely needs to be a revisal to how that rule works, though, in my opinion. But the basic idea of it, yeah, I totally agree. It
can also be used for someone given a red card. They go back and take a look at it and make sure it warrants red card.
And also to make sure you gave it to the right player.
Exactly. But what the real controversy that people have been noticing is in terms of penalty kicks. There's been, I can think of 3 instances where people have been caught off guard or haven't quite agreed with what the VAR can review. This includes the goalie coming off the line on a penalty kick because they can't step forward past the line. That's been reviewed after somebody saved it. They went back and took a look at it and said, "Oh, she stepped over. You got to re-kick it." So that's a bit of a bummer for the team. Next up, there's been for a handball in the box. So the play will continue on, but then the VAR can go back and check to see if there was a handball, which I'll get into in a second here. And the final was if there was a foul that occurred in the box.
So have these been problems in the World Cup at all?
Yeah, well, the problem, what I was thinking for right now, because the people have been complaining a lot about it, and I think for right now, I know that they're trying to get everything right. My suggestion would be maybe for the time being, for penalties, handballs in the box, or for fouls, I would only call them if the referee, I have the referee call them first in play, and then go back and review it. But if the referee doesn't catch it live, I wouldn't have the VAR go back and review it, because when you get the VAR and you see the review, it's often slow motion, and everything in slow motion can, it can blur up the play or whatever, so to speak. It's not
distorts it to some extent.
Exactly.
When you slow things down.
It's also all dependent on what angles you have on the play too.
Exactly, and the official is usually right there, and they're looking at it live. So I would say, Trevor, I want to hear your thoughts about this. I would say for now, I would just have the referee call it first and then go back and review it. But if the referee doesn't see it or doesn't think it warranted it during live action, I would not have the VAR go back and review it, just for now.
Well, that's sort of how it works right now, isn't it?
No, right now, the ref cannot see it, but then the play can continue, and then they can call back like 10 seconds later and say, hey, we want to take a look at to see if it was, take a look and see if it was a handball. Doesn't matter if the official actually called it on the field or not, which is what people have been complaining about.
It's tricky because, And this is just outside of this World Cup too. Some of the instances I've seen with VAR coming into play, I'm not sure. Like, yes, you're getting the right call on a lot of these, but it's taking away from a lot of just sort of the natural experience of the game. Like
the flow, essentially.
well, not even that, but for example, we're gonna go back a little bit. The Champions League quarterfinals, Manchester City versus Tottenham. Going into like the final minute of the second tie, Raheem Sterling goes through on goal and scores. The whole stadium's up and celebrating, like, oh my God, we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And then a good like minute and a half later, the goal gets called off through VAR. And yes, it was technically the correct call, but at the same time, like, what is it worth? Like, you're just, it's the weirdest feeling in sports. I can't, like...
And it's not like immediately taking back a goal, or they were...
I mean, the goal was called off after the VAR review, but
Okay.
it's... In theory, yes, it's the right thing to do, but until it happens, something like that happens to a team you support, I don't know if you can really, like, judge how effective it is. Well, I take that back. It's definitely effective, but whether or not it's necessary for the game to even exist.
Well, Trev, I appreciate your thoughts and your take on that subject.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to move along here until one of the most popular segments I think we can say that we've heard from feedback. It's called Pete's Take. And this week, Gibbs, I'm going to talk about the guy, or who the real hero is at sporting events.
Intriguing.
Gibbs, we've all heard the phrase, heroes are born, not made. This means that true heroes are hard to come by, and often in people or places that you least expect. This week, I experienced a situation with a real-life hero. There I sat at Comerica Park, watching the dreadful Detroit Tigers trail the Texas Rangers 4-1 in the 7th inning. Nothing like watching your favorite team get only 4 hits, commit 3 errors, all while melting in 88-degree weather that makes your ass sweat. It was obvious that this situation required a heroic effort to save all the fans in the stadium. No, I'm not talking about something like a home run or a double. Hell, I would have even enjoyed seeing a walk, to be honest. The Tigers had proven that day and for most of the season that they were incapable of providing excitement to a starving fan base. How many games are there in the baseball season?
162.
Oof. But
not even halfway.
But just as I pictured no end in sight to my misery, I witnessed something truly special. An older gentleman stood up from his chair, sensing the unstable situation. This is something that heroes can do. They can sense when their citizens are in trouble. Our savior pointed at all the fans around him in the section, gathering our attention. He started to raise his arms, signaling what he wanted us early adopters to do. He then yelled, 3, 2, 1. And just like that, the wave had begun. For anyone that has been fortunate enough to partake in such an event, you know that starting a wave requires persistency. Not all sections around you will be brave enough to participate right away, and some fans may not want to join in on the fun at all. Those bastards. Still, this did not deter our fearless leader from trying over and over again, as all heroes face some form of adversity on their journey. It became clear that this was not this man's first rodeo either when it came to starting the wave. He knew exactly what to do and the perseverance he'd have to show. If he showed any kind of weakness, the fans supporting him would as well. In other words, this man was our only hope. As the first couple of attempts petered out, no pun intended there, our leader looked at all his followers, as well as all the sections around him, and yelled,
I'm sorry, I'm dying right now.
"We are gonna do this one more time." Then, he raised his arms like the Night King in Game of Thrones, and the magic happened. Clearly motivated by our hero's speech, the wave miraculously passed from one section to another, with fans joyfully joining in the action. You could see the wave travel around the stadium, traveling from early adopters to the early majority all the way to the late majority. Even the laggards who were too scared to join in the movement earlier now all of a sudden want part of the fun. Meanwhile, the wave was influencing the game in positive ways that only our fearless leader could have foreseen. As the wave sailed from one corner of the stadium to another, the Texas pitcher was clearly shaken and distracted. During the duration of the wave, he simply could not get any Tigers batters out. Walk after walk, it had become clear that the fans had triggered a rally, with the tying run stepping up to the plate. Unfortunately, because this team was the Detroit Tigers and they suck, the batter disappointingly grounded out to second base. But don't blame the fans for this player. It's a mistake. As all waves do, this one mellowed out and crashed in due time. Fans become too fatigued of standing up and throwing their arms up in the air, especially when it's clear not even our best efforts can help save our team. Still, the wave made around a whopping 10 times that day, which was impressive for a stadium only being 30% full. Like all great captains, our leader went down with his ship. He was the last person on his feet, riding his wave until he could not any longer. While I cannot remember if he got one, the man deserved a standing ovation. And not just from the fans, but the players as well. This everyday citizen had spared us all a few minutes of happiness that could not have been found in that baseball game. As Gary Oldman said in The Dark Knight, this man was the hero we needed, not the one we deserved.
Pete, that was amazing. I want to say that almost compares with MLK's I Have a Dream speech.
I gotta admit, I don't like the wave.
Get out of this room. Also, are we allowed to swear on this?
Those bastards.
Take it easy.
We're in between. We're like a 90s PG.
I don't know what that means.
You only get one.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Do you like the wave?
You know, not all heroes wear capes.
Exactly.
Sometimes they don't wear shirts and they have a huge beer gut.
Well, we're going to go into our final segment here. We'll wrap this up. There's a little pop culture news for you and a little sports. There's a story this week about A-Rod and at the Met Gala. Did you see this, Gibbs?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You know, we talked about before the show. So, what it was first off, how did A-Rod get invited to the Met Gala? People probably don't even know what the Met Gala is. It's a fancy thing. Anyways, he was sitting at the same table as Kylie Jenner. And Kylie Jenner, apparently, according to A-Rod, just talked about how rich and famous she was, including Instagram, and saw the billions of dollars, or millions of dollars, I guess she's a billionaire now, that she has. And this had us thinking or talking about, Kylie Jenner, more pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
And this transitions right into an article, conspiracy belief, that Trev found for us.
Oh, yeah, no, Kylie, sure, she's the youngest self-made billionaire, but she's, like the rest of us, not above a good conspiracy theory. Those, sort of lines that come off the back of airplanes when they're flying over?
Yeah, no, like they're always in the sky.
Yeah, the jet streams or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Kylie is among one of those people that believes that those are chemicals being released by the government to control our behavior.
It is.
Is that even a conspiracy theory?
Well, according to the Irish Mirror, it is.
I thought that was fact.
Not on Wikipedia there.
Do you think she talked to A-Rod about this?
It probably would have been something better to talk about.
I mean, why would you rather talk about anything else other than planes flying overhead releasing jet streams?
She said it's something with the government then?
She says, the conspiracy she cited is one that the government is using chemicals to control the behavior of everyone on Earth. And that's how they're releasing them into the atmosphere, is off the back of planes.
Yeah.
I thought everyone knew this.
Well, if you didn't, now you know.
Thanks for sharing that, Trev.
No problem.
Well, I think that's going to wrap up this episode for us. I think